that could put me in a book slump. So that's future Rochelle's problem. Just feel all those cutesy, mushy emotions. Love getting to obsess over things and be a nerd along with the main characters. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rochelle and I have a disability and have a problem with pretty books. And today what I thought we could do is the beginning of the year tag. I saw that Larry Reads ended up going and creating this, and I thought it sounded really fun, especially establishing other goals or talking about certain books that I definitely would like to read throughout the year of 2025. So with that being said, I have the questions down below and I also have them on my phone as well so that we can go over them. So first question is, how many books are you planning on reading in 2025? I would really like to read around 100 books. Last year for 2024, it was actually the first year I got back into reading, and I had the goal of reading only 50 books. However, I finished the year reading 96 books, and so that was kind of going above and beyond my goal. So with being so close to 100 last year, I have a feeling that I probably could make it in the year of 2025. So we're gonna go for 100, and maybe I will regret putting that goal for myself, but we won't find out until the end of the year. Number 2 is a book you're likely to reread this year. Now, you probably won't be surprised with me saying this, but I really would love to reread Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. This is one of my all-time favorite books. I know I talk about it nonstop, but the thing I would really like to do is maybe go and write down some quotes from the book in my journal. Plus with this one, when it re-released, they have an extra chapter from Beau's point of view. So I haven't actually read this release of this book. And so because of that, I've really been wanting to reread it, but I've also been kind of delaying it at the same time just so that my memory can get a little bit more wiped clean before fully rereading it again. But yeah, this is one I would like to revisit just so I can do a journal entry, go and read the chapter that I never got to read before because it wasn't in the previous editions. And also, we know how much I love these characters and I will probably bawl my eyes out. Another one that I would like to include for this is the first book for Fablehaven by Brandon Mull. I have shown you in some of my previous book hauls that I've been getting the series again, and this was a series that I read when I was younger, but I think I only read the first 2 books, and so I really want to reread this series, dive back into this book, and just kind of relive a lot of the whimsy feelings that this series made me feel. And so I really would like to tackle this book series this year. Will it happen? I'm not sure, but I would like to remain hopeful and include it. Number 3 is a priority read on your 2025 TBR. Now, this book I actually don't have a physical version of yet. I've kind of been picky about which cover I'd like to have for it, but that would be It by Stephen King. This is on my horror bingo that I have for Wicked reading, and this book is so chunky, so intimidating, but I really would love to read it in the year of 2025. So I think that is one that is definitely a priority for me, and I probably will wait until next fall because I don't feel like it would really be a book to read in the winter. I'd really want it to be more Halloween, the creepy vibes and everything. I feel like that would be perfect, but it might be the only book I read for that month given how huge it is. Number 4 is an author you won't be reading more books from this year. Now, since I got back into reading last year, there's definitely a lot of authors that I'm still learning about and discovering their books. However, I want to say the author's name is Cherie Lapina. This is an author that I've read a few books of in the past, and honestly, they weren't really memorable reads for me. They were kind of good in the moment, but then afterwards I'm like, okay, is this it? So I think that might be an author that I probably won't go out of my way to pick up, but I also don't want to say never because you never know, there might be a book that I just happen to pick up and I love from that author. So I don't really want to write off any author just yet. Okay, number 5 is something new you want to read, new genres or tropes. Now, this isn't necessarily a new genre per se because I did read a few from this genre last year, but I definitely would really love to read more historical fiction. There are a few books that I read last year that I just absolutely adored, and it was such a surprise for myself because I did not think that I would enjoy historical fiction books as much as I did. And so that being said, I definitely want to go and dive into that series a little bit more, into that world, and see what other fun books I might pick up and read that I might not have been inclined to pick up before. Number 6 is a popular book you want to read. Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. I remember so many people were talking about this book, and this was actually one that I hauled last year, and I've heard so many good things. I don't think I've heard anything negative about this book series so far, and I have been really wanting to get more into fantasy and everything like that. I think the main character is also a healer, and I don't know what it is, but like healing magic is something that I always really love and adore in book series or in movies and TV shows. Not necessarily like the type of magic that I like to have in any video games that I play, but going and following some other character's journey, and this is the kind of magic that they have, something about it just really excites me and makes me interested and root for that character. But yeah, so I really would like to finally get to read this series, and it might be a mistake because I know a lot of people adore it so much. So we'll see if I equally fall in love with it and become obsessed with this book and am not able to read anything else because I am just recovering from my love of the series. I'm kind of hoping that that will happen with something I pick up this year. I really want to like deep dive into it and just become a little bit obsessed. I love that feeling where you just consume the book so quickly and then you put it down and it's like, well, what can fill that void? I kind of am craving that feeling for some reason, and that might not be good because that could put me in a book slump. So that's future Rochelle's problem. Okay, number 7 is most anticipated 2025 book release. I have made a video where I went over a lot of different books that I'm looking forward to in the year of 2025, and a few of them I already had the chance to read because I had them as arcs, so that's already out of the way. But the latest one that has come out is Dating and Dragons by Christy Boyce, and I finally got to read Dungeons and Drama recently and absolutely loved it. So I really want to read this next book and just feel all those cutesy, mushy emotions that I read or that I had when I read the first book. I'm just so excited. I love that innocent nerdiness and just, I don't know what it is. I love it. I love getting to obsess over things and be a nerd along with the main characters. So I'm very excited to finally go and read that book. Number 8 is a bookish goal for 2025. One of my biggest goals would be to actually finish book series that I start. When I was going and doing my bookshelf tour, I actually discovered that I have a lot of first books in a series, but not the next couple of books in a series. So one of the things I'd like to do is, moving forward after I do my book haul that you'll see in a few coming videos, is I would really like to be mindful about continuing and finishing book series and actually get to go and complete them instead of starting a bunch here and there. So that's something I'd really like to focus on, as well as not purchasing as many books. I've been good about it only because I kind of wait for book sales to happen, and that's a little bit when I go wild and I lose my self-control. But yeah, I'd like to be a little bit more mindful with my spending, and if I am going to spend on books, I want them to be a part of a series that I'm working on finishing. Okay, number 9 is a book that's been on your TBR you probably won't ever read. I feel like this one is a little bit harsh, although we all do have books that we always overlook and not necessarily go and pick right away when we have the opportunity. But I feel like this one would probably be a close one. The Red Lotus by Chris, I don't know how to say the name, but it would be this one. And honestly, this was kind of a name buy for me, just because I saw Red Lotus and I love lotus flowers. And that was kind of the reason I got the book. I know it is a thriller and I think a mystery, but I just haven't really been in the mood or really had the desire to pick it up. Maybe this is one that I will eventually pick up, but right now this is one that's kind of on the bottom of my list to go and grab currently at the moment. A series you want to read this year. So a series that I would like to actually start is probably the Shatter Me series by Tara Mafi. I have heard about this series growing up, and I know so many people have loved it. I know it's dystopian, and there's going to be like a side plot or a side series for this, and I am obsessed with the cover. I believe it's called Watch Me, and the cover is just so beautiful, and it's really given me this desire, like, okay, we need to get into reading this series already. Maybe I've hit the mark and I'm way too old for this book series. We'll definitely find out. But this is something that I like to attack for the year of 2025. Okay, so some of my auto-buy authors, would already be Hannah Bonham Young, and then there's Megan Lawley. But another one that I discovered is Kim Liggett, and I actually did read this book for the month of January, but I won't share my thoughts until I get to my wrap-up. But I really loved this author and just her way of writing, the world she created. And when I saw that she has other books, I was like, okay, I have to go and read the rest of your backlist. Like, I need to know and I need to experience these worlds that you're building, because holy crap. So this is definitely an author that I'm probably going to have on my auto-buy list. And then one other that I forgot to include is Darcy Coates. We know that I really like Darcy Coates. Her reads are just so fast and so quick, but so fun and wild. And so I've been slowly working through her backlist as well. And if she writes any new books, they will be on my list. A book to show adaptation you're excited about this year. So I can't remember the name of it at the moment, but it is another book in the Hunger Games series, and it goes over Haymitch's Hunger Games trial. I really want to reread the Hunger Games series. I haven't watched the last movie that came out that kind of showed some of President Snow's backstory, but I do own the book. So I kind of would like to work my way through the Hunger Games series and then go and, of course, watch that movie when it comes out. And then another one is We Used to Live Here by Marcus Cleaver. I forgot to grab the book from my bookshelf, but I know that one is going to have a film adaptation as well. I don't know when it's going to come out, if it's going to be in 2025 or a different year, but just in case, I wanted to include it here because that is one that I'd really love to see how they take the story from the book and put it into a film. And I really, really hope that they don't leave out anything or change up things, because everything was so good in the book. And that's one that I just want to kind of be pure and keep the book pure as it was written instead of changing it for the movie. But that might just be me if you've read that book. Number 13 is a sequel you're anticipating. So the next one that I am waiting for is actually the second book for this series. So it's Snow Globe by Soo Young Park. I read this one last year, and also let's give a moment for the cover. She is stunning, but I think the next book is coming out this year, and the way this book ended, it left on such a cliffhanger with this huge reveal that I need to know. I need to know what happens next. So that is one that I will be very excited for. It is a book that is translated, so I don't know if that will mean it will take a little bit longer unless they've already kind of had preparations for it to come out. But I can't wait. It's so good and so different and interesting, and I had a fun little time with this. Number 14, bookish things you're leaving in 2024. Ooh, this one is a little bit hard because last year was technically my first year on BookTube and just getting interested in all the things book related and diving back into a lot of stuff that I wasn't familiar with because I was in such a long reading slump because of college. I think one thing would be to be more mindful about requesting ARCs on NetGalley. So I definitely don't want to go and request a bunch of them and then fall as behind as I was last year, because there were a few months I only read ARCs and I wasn't able to read anything off of my shelves, and that was a little bit of a bummer for me, especially for those months, even though those books that I read were really good. And I guess another thing is just I guess to not compare myself to anyone else in the book community. There might be someone that reads over 200 books, and there might be someone that reads 115. they might have that ability to read that many books, but I don't. So I don't know what their story is, what they do in their free time, any of those things. I only know what happens in my own life. And I have a full-time job. So with the full-time job and then also doing booktube, there's not a lot of time to do a lot of extra reading, especially if my everyday life is busy, if we end up going on vacations, if we end up going and having get-togethers with friends. So it's all dependent on that for how many books that I'm personally able to read. So because of that, I'm going to not compare myself with others and just enjoy the journey and hopefully get to read 100 books. If I read more than that, that's awesome. That's just even more books that I was able to consume and support those authors and get to share their books with you guys. So yeah, I'm gonna try to look at things that way and reframe my mind. The amount of books that I've read hasn't bothered me as much, but I know that's something that has bothered other people, and just because I know myself and being more in the booktube bookish community, I feel like I could fall at risk of going and comparing myself to other readers. And so I feel like if I put that in place beforehand, I feel like that will be a safe move on my end. Number 15, what to expect from this account. So from this account, you should expect to hopefully see at least 2 videos a week. I've been usually posting on Mondays and Wednesdays, and I've really been enjoying that schedule. Sometimes I fall a little bit out of it, but I do try to at least post 2 times a week. So I hope that you're okay with me continuing and moving forward with that schedule. I also would really like to go and continue book series that we have on our channel and just going and continuing them. I really, really, really loved the TBR game that we created. I was kind of hesitant. I was going back and forth on, will I like it, will I not like it? And after going and recording that video, I absolutely loved it. And I've just been thinking about it every single day in excitement about when we get to pull out that board again and roll the dice and see what books we're reading. I would also like to maybe film other book series on my channel. I'm not quite sure what yet. I do have a notepad where I always write some of my ideas whenever the mood feels right. So we'll see there. And then I would also like to continue using my book journal. I really want to do certain spreads over some favorite books that I might have read during that month that we're in. And I already have a lot of ideas for that stuff. So those are some of the things that you can expect from my channel, and I'm honestly excited for all of them. Doing booktube has been so fulfilling for me and a really fun hobby where I don't feel burnt out from doing it. And I'm so hopeful that those feelings will continue moving forward because I'm just having a fun time and I'm enjoying the ride. And I hope you are too, if you're watching this video. And if you are, great. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, number 16. How has your reading taste evolved from last year? My reading taste from last year, I guess, with getting back into reading, I'm really discovering how much I love horror. Horror is definitely one of my favorite things, and psychological thrillers. I just love getting to try to figure out the mystery and what's going on along with the main characters. That's been such a great and fun time. And then towards the end of the year, I actually discovered that I was liking romance books. I didn't think that that was something that I was as interested in. It kind of felt like something that was previously a turnoff for me. But now I'm kind of like, okay, I might go and feel around with more of the romance books and see if there's any other tropes that I like to read besides from the ones that I've said with small town, enemies to lovers, morally gray, fake dating, things like that. I'd like to see if there's maybe some other tropes I enjoy. So yeah, I'm excited to test that out. And then I've also discovered that I'm not feeling as uptight about my ratings for books. Before I was kind of feeling like, oh no, okay, I enjoyed this book. Okay, it's a 5-star, or okay, this book wasn't the best, but I still enjoyed it, so 4.5 star. I am kind of feeling like, okay, it's okay to rate a little bit lower. So I kind of like that I'm not feeling as uptight about that and feel a little bit easier with being my authentic self when it comes to rating. Now that doesn't mean I'm going to go and bash a book and say this is the worst thing ever. It should be burned. And you know, some people can go and say that and that's fine, but personally for myself that doesn't feel right for me to go and say about a book because, you know, to someone else that might be their favorite book ever. Reading is subjective. So just because it's not a book that I thoroughly enjoyed, it might be someone else's favorite book. And so if they were to hear or even read a review that I wrote saying like, this was an awful book, go and burn it, I can't imagine that that feels great. So I'm not going to go and do that, but I am going to be a little bit more honest about my feelings with books. Number 17, booktube creators who inspire you. Holy crap, this one is so hard because I feel like I've made so many amazing connections with people on booktube. There's Gemini Pages, Curious Cat, Once Upon a Bookish Steph, and then there's a lot of other people that I can't remember their names at the moment, so I'll probably have a list of screenshots around my face, maybe do it like a rainbow or something, and I might go and tag them below, not necessarily to go and do this video because do it if you want to, don't do it if you feel pressured, it's all up to you. I'd love to tag them all just so that they have a little shout out and we share some of the love to them because they're all such amazing people. I enjoy their channels so much and I just want to, you know, spread them around. If you haven't come across their channel, this is a great way for you to go and find out about them. Number 18 is something you want to say to anyone wanting to start a bookish account. I know so many people say this, but it is honestly 100% true. Just post the video. I had been going back and forth for so many years, wanting to do booktube, constantly talking myself out of it. And then when I finally hit post and posted that video, it was kind of like it took the floodgates down and made it so easy to just continue filming and posting videos. It no longer felt intimidating. The buildup for making the perfect video was kind of gone because I already made the video. It was already done. Hey, it wasn't perfect, but it was posted. So I could only improve from there. So I would say definitely go and post the video. Don't worry about having the best equipment. Don't worry about having the best video editing skills. Just post the video and you can learn over time. You can learn your editing style. You can learn what kind of equipment works best for you. If you prefer a ring light or using natural light, you know, you figure all of those things out as you go and film and record these videos. And everyone starts at not a low point, but everyone starts somewhere. No one starts being like the greatest editor, recorder, you know, any of those things. No one starts the best. They have to go and learn and practice and work to get there. So just post the video. You will feel so amazing after you do so. And then another piece of advice that I'd have is go and make connections. You know, all of us in the book community and even other communities on YouTube, we all started somewhere and it can be very lonely, you know? You're recording, you're talking to a camera, you're not talking to someone else. The only way you might talk to someone else is if someone comments on your video and you respond back to them. So I'd say go and make comments on other people's videos. Go and say something about, hey, I really loved how you talked about that one book. I'm gonna write it down and add it to my list. Or this video was so great and so needed. I was in such a low mood. I was feeling low energy and your video brought me up. I felt amazing after watching it. You know, leave little comments here and there, make friends, build a community. You know, we're all in this together, so let's all be in this together instead of feeling like we're on this journey alone. And yeah, I think that's where I'm going to end it. Those are all the questions for the beginning of the year book tag. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please consider leaving a like, maybe going and subscribing to my channel. It would mean the world to me. And if you have a favorite book or want to go and answer any of the questions that I went over, I'd love to hear your answers in the comments below. It's so fun to go and learn about other books that weren't on my radar, and we know I have a problem with books, so why not add more? But I love you all so, so much, and always remember that you're worthy and capable of amazing things. Bye, friends. Also, you can't see it over here, but I actually have a ton of book piles and book boxes on my floor, and that is for a future haul that we will be doing on my channel, but I don't have all the books yet. So until then, this stack is just going to be over in the corner of my office, and I will have to keep adjusting to make sure that it's not in frame so you don't get any sneak peeks.